Welcome to Canadian Coffee House Crime. My name is Catherine, and right now I have the amazing experience of working at the top of the world with the Jasper Sky Tram in Alberta with amazing people. If you're in the area, please stop by, go for a gondola ride. Go for a hike to the top of a mountain, see some animals. Enjoy a drink, maybe some lunch with us, and say hi. If you're scared of heights, though, it's probably not for you. I thought it would cover all of the stories from the haunted stamp and coin collection that the Canadian Mint put together in 2016. Today's story is going to incorporate two different legends from Newfoundland, the Night Hag and the Belle Island Hag. Newfoundland is the easternmost province of Canada. The population of Newfoundland equals around 550,000 people. The capital city is St. John's. The city was founded by Sebastian Cabot, declared in a handwritten Latin text in his original 1545 map that St. John's earns its name when he and his father, the Venetian explorer John Cabot, in the service of England, became the first Europeans to sail into the harbor. On the morning of June 24th, 1494, the feast day of Saint Jean the Baptiste. St. John's houses 40% of Newfoundland's population. 97% of residents speak English. A majority of the population is descended from English and Irish settlers, giving Newfoundland its reputation as the most Irish place outside Ireland. Newfoundland is home to many legends and fairy stories that connected to the Celtic vein that runs through the rock. Many of the province's early settlers came from England, Ireland, and Scotland, where witches certainly had an influence. In the 1890s, a story of the hag first appeared in the Journal of American Folklore, Memorial University of Newfoundland Folklore and Language Archive. It has collected people's accounts of their experience, the hag, and the ways Newfoundlanders rid themselves of her. She is described as a witch-like, wrinkled, with withered old woman with long hair. She can appear in doorways, be next to the bed, or even crawl on top of people and sit on them or pin them down. The story goes that just as you fall asleep, she creeps in, crawling from the foot of your bed to perch on your chest, making it impossible to move or breathe and generally scaring you senseless. The legend is so persuasive that locals have turned to using her name as a verb to describe their experience. I was hagged last night. The hagging happened 2 nights ago, or I got hag-ridden. A man had been ridden to death by an old hag until a knowledgeable old man advised him to drive nails through his shingle and lash it to his chest when he went to bed. It is reported that people thought they could summon the hag by reciting the Lord's Prayer backwards and kill her by sleeping on their backs with knives or boards with upright nails against their chest designed to stab her when she sits on them. One victim of the hag even accused another person in the community of hagging him, which means summoning the hag to haunt a third party out of jealousy. Locals will warn you never to sleep on your back in Newfoundland or risk a visit from the old hag. She steals in on the night fog just as you are falling asleep. She's an apparition that crawls up from the foot of your bed and sits on your chest so heavy you can't breathe or move. Sometimes she may try to seduce you, other times to kill you. One story states, a woman was crawling across the floor and up onto the bed. She could actually feel the mattress shifting under the hag's weight, but she couldn't move. The woman couldn't do anything. The hag got on top of her chest and started strangling her. Another witness stated, I was sound asleep, cozy and warm under the covers. Suddenly I was awoken by a shadowy figure that was hunched, almost perched like a human-sized bird at the bottom of my bed. She had long, pointy fingers, glowing eyes, a crimson mouth with black teeth. She jumped from the footboard onto my legs. I tried to scream for help, but couldn't make a sound. The figure was slithering up towards my face, and I knew if I got too close, it would somehow devour me. I tried to move, but now it was on my chest and I couldn't escape. Again, I cried for help, but the most I could muster was a whisper. Over and over, I repeated that quiet scream, hoping someone might hear me. Finally, I jolted upright. I looked around, but the big figure had vanished. In other cultures, it is believed that the hag is a demon, summoned by the black magics of someone hurt or the actions of a jealous person. It is also thought to be a punishment for one who has wronged another and are then terrified by their own reflections in their slumber. Other speculations are that homes and places themselves are haunted by evil spirits that feed off the energy of their living hosts. No matter what your beliefs are, there is a wide range of these types of experiences crossing continents and time. Until the early 20th century, hag riding and hagging were common explanations for sleep paralysis in certain parts of western and southern England. In fact, Somerset and Dorset assault cases were brought before the courts against suspected witches thought to be behind this sort of witchcraft. As people immigrated to Newfoundland, these sorts of beliefs came along as well. In 1978, a small paper looked at the psychological and physical experiences interpreted in Newfoundland as an old hag attack to those of sleep paralysis. This may be due to the fact that it is a scientifically acknowledged problem that affects 8% of the general population. Sleep paralysis is a horrible combination of hallucination and lack of muscle control caused by entering REM sleep too quickly. People awaken suddenly but are unable to move and have difficulty breathing due to a feeling of heaviness on their chest. During the REM sleep cycle, most rich in dreaming, our body releases a chemical that makes our voluntary muscles go limp. It's our body's way of protecting us from thrashing around as we fight our dream dragons. In fact, it's more of a problem if the paralysis doesn't happen. This leads to REM sleep behavior disorder, the dangerous propensity to physically act out one's dream, and it can be a precursor to Parkinson's disease. Scientists believe it is the fear response and the brain trying to make sense of the embolization that conjures the images of witches or a presence in the room. What scientists can't explain is why everyone sees the same thing, although Now I'm going to take us over to Belle Island, the most haunted island in North America, which is about an hour's drive from St. John's. With an area of 34 square kilometers, a total of around 3,000 inhabitants, from 1895 to 1966, a large-scale iron ore mining took place on Belle Island. It quickly grew into one of the most important iron ore producers in the world. Hence the reason why Nazi Germany invaded it twice. There were 2 deadly German U-boat attacks in 1942 that sunk 4 cargo ships and killed 65 sailors. At the Wabana mine, the miners had no proper bathroom or eating facility. There was no warmth, and they worked 10 to 12-hour shifts for 6 days a week for 5 to 7 cents an hour, seeing the sunlight only on Sundays. Boys as young as 10 worked alongside men as old as 80, picking ore off the conveyor belts, separating the chunks by size, and discarding the waste. On the surface, there were 2 mines called Number 1 and Number 5 that were mined out before going underground. The underground mounds were 4 mines called Number 2, 3, 4, and 6, and they ran about 3 to 5 miles in length. From 1895 to 1966, there were 106 fatalities and over 300 accidents. Miners lost legs and arms, some were left disfigured and rendered useless, others died of lung disease. In 1938, methane gas explosion in the Number 6 mine killed 2 men and injured several others. In the 1950s, with the implementation of more powerful and faster machinery, miners were often killed or wounded by runaway 20-ton ore cars and falling debris. Spectral inhabitants include phantom miners who haunt the tunnels of the Number 4 mine. The white crosses chalked onto the rocky tunnel walls are a grim reminder of the underground dangers such as explosions or runaway carts. The footsteps of generations of miners who once labored in horrific conditions. There is a sense of miners' spirits watching from every musty corner and crevice in the subterranean world located in Wabana. People have heard muffled, disembodied whispering, felt an icy wind rush past, footsteps, and often there is a dreadful feeling of being watched. The strange experiences of the white women started in the 1940s. There was no running water, so that the men would collect buckets from a well. One day the men went to collect water and to their horror discovered the body of a young woman, dressed all in white, floating in the well. Murdered, her skin had turned an icy blue. Shortly after removing the body from the well, mine Number 4 became a hub of paranormal activity. Men that were heading home after a long and arduous day got fiercely attacked by this woman. Wounded, they got treated at the nearby hospital. These events happened until the mid-1960s after the discovery of the killer. No one drops the name of the killer of the white woman. One inhabitant states the man's family live on Belle Island, including those of the young woman, so we never reveal their names. But those that live on the island and have studied the history will know. Another legend comes from Butler's Marsh in the West Mines. It is said that the marsh is home to fairies, but typically described as 2 feet tall, male, and hideously deformed. These fairies are said to have attempted to lure humans into the marsh, sometimes never to return. Legends abound of fairies terrorizing homes and even abducting children, and early settlers blamed them for mysterious deaths and ailments. An eerie location on the island is a patch of farmland known as Dobbin's Garden, home supposedly to the Belle Island Hag. This legend dates back to the Second World War when German U-boats attacked the island. The story is that a group of German sailors had secretly landed on the island to resupply their U-boat. An unfortunate woman came upon the scene and was dragged into the marsh and killed. Locals, fearing a fairy trick, ignored her cries for help and her restless spirit is said to still plague the site. Witnesses have described that what intentionally looks like a woman in white walking up from the marsh after sunset. As the thing gets closer, the color starts to go gray, and then the thing falls to its knees and starts to crawl on all fours like a dog. The creature's wormed-out face and foul, sulfuric smell then knock out the unfortunate spectator. Apparently she smells of an outhouse and rotten eggs combined, but 10 times worse. The person she sees feels paralyzed and has the sensation that the hag is crawling over them. Local legend holds that men who have gone near the area have mysteriously gone missing for days at a time. When they finally emerge from the marshland, they are completely unaware of the time that has lapsed. In fact, their only memory of the event is of a foul odor and a deformed old woman forcing them to the ground. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Catherine, and this is Canadian Coffeehouse Crime. And this concludes story 1 of the 2016 Haunted Canada Mint Stamp series. The next story will be the second story of the 2016 Haunted Stamp and Coin Collection called Dongavarn Whooper from New Brunswick. See you in the next case.